We are on the 12th juz today. And the theme, we are going to be looking at Surah Hud and Yusuf. And the theme is really how prophets sacrificed deeply and sacrificed so much for the guidance of humanity. That's going to be the theme here in these two juz's, in this one juz', in these two surahs. And, excuse me. So we start in Surah Hud with verse 10. And verse 10, just pulling it up in English here so I can... Verse 10 is a real admonishing, I should say, of humanity. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَلَئِنْ أَذَقْنَاهُ النِّعْمَةَ بَعْدَ ضَرَّاءَ مَسَتْهُ لِيَقُولَنَّ ذَهَبَ السَّيِّئَاتُ عَنِّي إِنَّهُ لَفَرِحٌ فَخُورٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but if we give him a taste of favor after hardship has touched him, he will surely say, bad times have left me. Indeed, he is exultant and boastful. So what does this mean? It means that when a person finds herself or himself in hardship and then asks for help and Allah gives help, then we respond by saying, oh, it left me. Oh, I did that. We forget the state of calling on Allah. We forget the state of being in that place where we asked Allah for something and He answered us. And we forget that. And in forgetting that, we become of those who are boastful and arrogant. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ, except for those, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَأَجْرٌ كَرِيمٌ. Except for those who acted patiently and did good deeds, for them there is forgiveness and great reward. So we're setting already this stage that of the prophetic suffering to reform us, if you will. And we begin with Nabi Nuh on page, where do we begin with Nabi Nuh? Oh, maybe I didn't mark it. We begin right away. We have, okay, there we go. Verse 25 with Nabi Nuh. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ إِنِّي لَكُمْ نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. So the first prophet that we're introduced to here is Nuh. A long suffering prophet. أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا اللَّهِ إِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابَ يَوْمٍ أَلِيمٍ. He speaks to his people with beautiful words, calls them to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. According to Ibn Kathir and other narrations, he lived for a very long time, some say for 963 years. And in all of that time, he only had something like 63 followers. Very, very, very difficult work to save humanity. Putting himself aside and just working hard to save humanity, even as he had so few followers. We are in the 12th juz. And so he's talking to them, and we hear him talking to them throughout. And throughout we also hear them laughing at him. And not basically mocking him and not following him. They say to him in verse 33, 32, verse 32. He's speaking to them with so much clarity. Let's go to the one before that. Ya qawmi, this is verse 30. Ya qawmi, man yansuruni min Allah in taradduhum. Who will protect me from Allah if I drove them away? أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Won't you be of those who are reminded? Think about yourself trying to help the people around you, people you care about. And you know, like a prophet, nobody knows like a prophet the reality of heaven and hell, the reality of God. Nobody knows like a prophet about that, like a prophet knows. But you have your heart and you know, and so you want to convince the people you love. And they answer him, قالوا, I skipped a verse, قالوا يا نوح قد جادلتنا فأكثرت جدالنا فأتنا بما تعدنا إن كنت من الصادقين. They said, "Oh Noah, you have disputed us and been frequent in dispute of us. So bring us what you threaten us if you should be of the truthful." They turned it upside down. This is totally fake news. This is exactly like we're dealing with today with fake news. They flip it upside down. Instead of saying that Noah is coming to them with truth and they're the ones arguing, they say, you keep disputing with us. You keep making trouble. Yalla, you threatening us with something? Yalla, bring it. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif. Ya Latif. And then, of course, what happens? He's called on to build an ark in the desert. And they just laughing about that one. And Prophet Nabi Noor is continuously and always open to them and calling out to them again. He says, وَقَالَ أَرْكَبُوا فِيهَا بِسْمِ اللَّهِ مَجَرَيْهَا وَمُرْسَاهَا إِنَّ رَبِّي لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. He says, embark therein in the name of Allah as its course and its anchorage. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful. We're still at the end here. Still at the end. You still have a chance. You still have a chance. And everything you said to me for 900 years, I'm going to forget. I'm going to welcome you on this boat that you made me build all by myself. Come. And then the verse that breaks my heart. And it should break all of our hearts. And should also remind us of the realities of this life and how we have to just trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, وَهِيَ. I'll do it from here. I can see it better from here. وَهِيَ تَجْرِي بِهِمْ فِي مَوْجٍ كَالْجِبَالِ وَنَادَى نُوحٌ ابْنَهُ وَكَانَ فِي مَعْزِلٍ يَا بُنَيَّ ارْكَبُوا مَعَنَا وَلَا تَكُنْ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Ya Allah. Then he says, it sailed with them through waves that were like mountains. And Noah called to his son who had gone apart, "Oh my son, come aboard. Don't be with the disbelievers." And then قال سآوي إلى جبل يعصمني من الماء. I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water. And Noah says, قال لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله. There is no protector today from the decree of Allah. إلا من رحم, except for the one that He gives mercy to. وحال بينهما الموج فكان من المغرقين. And the waves came between them, and he became of those who were drowned. How much did Noah sacrifice for us? I say us because he is of our ascendants of prophets. How much did he sacrifice so that the people around him could be believers? And yet his own son, they say, qurub hijab. Qurub hijab. This is an Arabic proverb. And what it means is that being too close is a barrier between you and a person. So here we have the son of a prophet, qurub hijab. He couldn't see his father for what he was, Nabi, a prophet. And instead of following him and saving his life, dunya wa akhirah, he lost it. So easy to just say, hey, yeah, I want to come to the boat. Sure, sure. And to set his nafs aside, his arrogance aside. It's really scary stuff. The grief of Noah, of Nuh, when he loses his son. I'll have to change where that's okay, we can fix that. And so then Noah and his response. And then first the earth swallows the water. And then Allah calls on Nuh. وَنَادَى نُوحٌ رَبَّهُ فَقَالَ. Then he responds. رَبِّي إِنِّي إِبْنِي مِنْ أَهْلِي وَإِنَّ وَعَدَكَ الْحَقِّ وَأَنْتَ أَحْكَمُ الْحَاكِمِينَ. He doesn't really say much. He just says, Ya Allah, my son was of my family, but your promise is true, and you are the most wise. That's all he says. That's all he says. Allah says, قَالَ يَا نُوحٌ إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ. But he is not of your family. إِنَّهُ عَمَلٌ غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ. His deeds are not good. فَلَا تَسْأَلْنِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. So don't ask me of what you do not have knowledge. He's asking, of course, about his son. Ya Allah, may all of our children be of ahli, bid-dunya wa akhirah. We not lose any of them. But here is a lesson to us. When a prophet in his sacrifice, he has sacrificed, in a way, even his own son. Submission is totality. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. And then from there, here they are. From Nuh, we go to Salih, to Hud first. To Hud. And Hud again, قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. He calls to his people, worship Allah. How many of us are walking in the footsteps of prophethood and calling to our people, Abdullah? Ya Allah, may Allah guide them. May Allah guide them back, Ya Rabbi. All of our children. And then again, they argue with him. And again, his people, his very people. Yes, that's true. We do feel that so deeply. We pray for them. Ya Rabbi. His own people are arguing with him, Hud. And they are then lost. And then Salih. قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. Worship Allah. You don't have a God other than Him. Same as Hud. And again, the sacrifices and the work. And they don't listen. And the punishment is sent. Ibrahim and his calling out to his people. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, and Allah sent him Ishaq, and he had miracles in front of his people that his own wife, who couldn't have children, then had Ishaq. And then Ishaq had Yaqub. And all of these beautiful things. And then Lut. Then we have Lut. And Lut's suffering with his people who wouldn't listen to him, who put their desires over belief, and were also destroyed. And then we have Shu'aib, one after another. The surah is filled with prophets with the same example. Prophets who we can look back from now and we say, these men were amazing. They were so good, and they only wanted the people to worship and pray to Allah. And we can see that from here, and we can be like, what is wrong with these people? Why didn't they listen? But then we have to ask ourselves, are we listening to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one that was sent to us? Do we listen to him? Do we obey? Do we do everything that we can to be the good Muslims that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam worked so hard to leave a message for us so that we would be able to be that? And then at the end of the surah, we have some words that remind us what we are being called to and what we are supposed to do. Verse 114 and 115. One 14 and 115. Okay, so the first one, 114, 13, 14. وأقم الصلاة طرفي النهار وزلفا من الليل وإن الحسنات يذهبن سيئات ذلك الذكر للذاكرين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and do not incline. The next one. And establish prayer at the two ends of the day and the approach of the night. Indeed, here it is right here. Indeed, إِنَّ الْحَسَنَةِ يُذْهِبْنَ سَيِّئَاتٍ. Indeed, good deeds erase misdeeds. This is ذَلِكَ الذِّكْرَ لِلذَّاكِرِينَ. This will remind the one who remembers. Now this is very important because as we find ourselves in the middle of Ramadan, we're recognizing all of our mistakes of last year. We're drowning in the mistakes of this year. I have some messages from people who are saying, how can I come back to Allah when I have so many mistakes? Right here makes it so easy. إِنَّ حَسَنَةِ يُذْهِبْنَ سَيِّئَاتٍ. If you feel that your life has been full of sin, start doing good deeds and erasing them. Start helping people. Start praying extra. Start fasting. I mean, we're fasting Ramadan, but I mean outside of Ramadan. Start giving sadaqah. Start helping people. Start looking around. How can I help this person? How can I help that person? Serve your parents. Serve your parents. Serve your parents. And watch the hasanats come on to you. And as the hasanat come on to you, your sayyats will go away. And the heaviness and the ugly feelings inside will begin to disappear. And you'll begin to be able to take a breath and feel better. And feel better about this life as you are becoming not a denier of Rasulullah, but a follower of Rasulullah. And from this Surah Hud, we go into the Surah Yusuf. Now, Surah Yusuf is a very different surah than the rest of the surahs in the Quran. Because Surah Yusuf is one story. Almost every other surah, it weaves in and out between story and law and advice and history and Jannah and Jahannam and all these things. But here, Surah Yusuf is really one collective story. And it repeats the theme of the sacrifice of a prophet for the purification of humanity. But and if you ever listen to Amr Khalid, very Egyptian accent, so if you don't speak Arabic, it might be difficult for you to hear him. But he talks about, what does he say? He talks about how Nabi Yusuf is a straight and arrow. Many years ago, he had a show about Yusuf. I was still living in Syria when I saw it. And what I remember of it is he was really making the point that Yusuf, no matter what came at him, he was a young guy who was resisting of desire, resisting of power, resisting of the kinds of things that can corrupt, because he puts Allah first. And so we see in this two things. We see in this him as a prophet, a Nabi, putting Allah first so that he can bring this to bring the message to the humanity that Allah had given him. And I think we should also see this as in our own selves, that if we want to be successful, we have to walk like Yusuf walked. And what that was a straight on the straight path, without any diversions, no getting confused, no going to the right or to the left. Straight path Yusuf. He is good and kind to his brothers, even though they betrayed him in ways. I know people who are dealing with betrayal. I know so many women whose husbands betray them. But this is shocking. They go to the father and say, let us take Yusuf. The father suspects them. He says, no, I'm afraid a wolf will eat him. And they say, no. Oh, how can you say that? We're going to take care of him. He's our brother. And they all plot together to kill him. Then they change their mind. Instead of killing him, big deal, they throw him in a well and leave the child. Walk away, leaving the child. I mean, by leaving him alive, they left him exposed to all sorts of abuse and dangers. It's horrible. What kind of betrayal is that? And he knows who did it. He knows. Ya Allah, blowing my mind. I can't believe. He knows who did it, and yet he remains to the end of his life loyal to them as brothers. In one way or another that we will see. We'll probably see that tomorrow. And so first he deals with that kind of betrayal, and then he is taken as a slave, and he's brought to this house of the Aziz. And so now he's no longer free. Now he's a slave. وَشَرَاهُ بِثَمَنٍ. They bought him for a price. Before a price. And he goes in this house. He's a young lad. He's a young kid. And we know from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that he is a very beautiful handsome young man. And he's brought into this house, but he is a person of Allah. He is a Nabi. And so he's brought into this house, and the Mart al-Aziz, the wife of Aziz, is taken by his good looks. Fully taken by his good looks and wants to take him. She feels she has a right to him. وراودته التي هو في بيتها عن نفسي وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك. This imagery is shocking, really. She locked the doors and said to him, come hither. Come hither. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is really clear here. قال معاذ الله. He said, I seek refuge in Allah. إنه ربي. That is my Lord. أحسن مثواه. إنه لا يفلح الظالمين. And then, listen. لقد همت به وهم بها لولا أن رأى برهان ربي. In other words, he would have been interested in her as she was interested in him had not Allah given him clarity. So the point here is that it wasn't, I'm sorry, but it wasn't some very elder woman who wasn't attractive, shutting the door on him, and he was just like eye rolling, oh my God, I gotta get away from her. No, there was physical attraction there, but Allah was first. And we have a young people today that need to know this story, that this story is in the Quran. We have young people and older people, married people who are getting attracted. It's before, alhamdulillah, for lockdown and everyone in the house. Allah protect us all from men and women who are outside in the workplace flirting, ya Latif, and not remembering Yusuf. Not remembering Yusuf, because Yusuf was straight and as straight arrow. He was clear. He knew who he was. Thrown in the well, he knew who he was. Tempted by a woman, he knew who he was. It gets worse. Next, he's tempted by a whole group of women who want to basically have him for lunch, we'll say. He knows himself. Then he chooses prison. One thing after another. Now he's in prison. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Ya Allah. And he has in prison with him two guys, Fatayan. And they have dreams. The chapter goes along really quickly. They have these dreams. And Yusuf interprets them for him and tells one of them, this basically means you're going to die. And the other one, it gives him a true interpretation. And as he's leaving, he tells him, remember me to your Lord. Remind him that I've been put in here. Wallah Tahir, I agree with that. And he does that, but what happens? He forgets this guy. So, and he stays in prison, bada sinin, for more years, because this guy forgets. And he's not angry. He's patient. What is that? How do you feel if somebody forgets to call you? Are you like freaking out because they forgot to call you? Do you take it personally? Are you like, oh, what is wrong with you? You never call me. First of all, if you were doing that with me, sorry, I'm so sorry because I am the worst in these things. But, ya Allah, he doesn't get to that place. He doesn't get all sensitive. He doesn't take it all personally. And at the end of the surah, not the surah, sorry, at the end of the juz', at the end of this juz', we see him We see the Malik having this dream and wanting to have it interpreted. And Yusuf being called, but Yusuf, before he calls, he says, قال ما خطبكن إذ ردن يوسف عن نفسه. Oh, sorry, I went too far. Okay, so we see him. Yes, no, I was right. Okay. He's asking about the women. He's asking about the women in verse 51. That's where I am. In verse 51, he's asking about the women because he wants to know, if I'm coming out of prison, am I going to be attacked again? Am I going to be harassed, really? Am I going to be harassed? And subhanAllah, in our world today, and I think in most worlds, it's usually women who are harassed by men. But in the best of upbringing, when you want to really upbring someone, you want them to feel the feeling of how horrible this is, to be harassed. And in this surah, we see men are able to see what it feels like to be harassed, to feel unsafe, to feel like even though you want to leave prison, you feel a discomfort. And it was the verse before where he says, فَاسْأَلُوا مَا بَالُ نِسْوَةِ الَّتِي قَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنْ. What happened to these women? What's the situation with them? He didn't feel safe to come back. And this is really this is for men to put their feet, themselves in those shoes. Because when you harass someone sexually or anyway, it's horrible. Person doesn't feel safe. And here, now, the tables are really turned in the Quran very interestingly compared to what it is usual in life. And so this is a real lesson for men, for believing men, to say, oh, I shouldn't flirt with that woman at the mosque. She wants to come to the mosque and think about Allah. She does not want to come and have me flirt with her. That makes her feel uncomfortable. Oh, just like Yusuf, he doesn't want to leave prison and have to go answer the Malak if it means that these women are going to be all over him again, harassing him. Sometimes women, they want to visit with an imam, and the imam starts to think, oh, maybe I should marry you, even though he's already married. She doesn't want to get married to you. She wanted to know how to pray. Stop, Yani, come on, go back and read Surah Yusuf. Go back and read Surah Yusuf and don't harass her. Be responsible. Be responsible. Read the literature from Hurma Project. Be responsible. Be a person who is in your job. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. It's an illness out there where just because a woman walks into an office or walks into a place, we have people thinking, oh, she, it's something out there. Stay in your lane. Stay in the job. Be professional. And think about Yusuf and how he felt. Nobody wants to feel like that. Nobody wants to feel like that. Alhamdulillah, he finds that they have all repented. And because they have repented and told the truth, and he is able, and told the truth, then he is able to come forth, and we will read about this in the next one, to interpret the dream of the Aziz. Alhamdulillah. Important things to keep in mind from all of these pages and all of these verses, and critically important for us to continue to think deeply about these verses, and really uplift one another, and think, ya jama'ah, think. Reflect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and grow. Okay? If you would like to help to support female scholarship, please go to Rabata.org. You can find the donate button there. You can donate, or you can become a monthly donor at rabata.kindful.org. And we also have a campaign at LaunchGood, Rabata launchgood.com/Rabata, where you can make a donation. Thank you so much, everyone. We will continue the story of Yusuf tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.